Hello, good morning. It's a pleasure being here at the 19th Hong Kong Forum. Thank you for the great introduction. So I wanted to start off this presentation by bringing up this image. This is a standard container, cargo container. It's commonly used for shipping goods around the world. In this particular model is a 20 feet container. So it's 20 feet deep, it's 8 feet wide, and a total gross area of 160 square feet. And for those in the audience who use the metric system, which should be the majority of us here, that's roughly 15 square meters. How big is 160 square feet? What can we do with 160 square feet? Perhaps in the context of your home. For those in the audience who are perhaps from the US or Canada, where there's generally a lot more land, and if you happen to live in the suburbs, perhaps in a house, this would probably be a storage cupboard, a storage room, or maybe a wardrobe, or perhaps a bathroom. But here in Hong Kong, 160 square feet, as we'll see in this slide, is the average living space per capita. This chart shows the average living space per capita across various countries and regions, and there's a very clear trend. In places where there's generally a lot of land, Australia, US, Canada, you tend to get a lot more living space. When you move into Europe, in Germany, Sweden, you get a bit less. And by the way, to convert these back to metric system, just divide by 10 to get to square meters. When you get into Asia, the trend is very clear. In Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, you're talking about living space of several hundred square feet. Now, bear in mind, these numbers represent the country average. So when you look into specific city numbers, they tend to be even lower. And so in Hong Kong, here it's 160, as the green bar shows. But if you just look at this number, it tends to understate the issues that we have here in a place like Hong Kong. When you look at the public housing market, whereby half of households in Hong Kong reside in, you get to around 130 square feet per capita. That's roughly the size of a car park. Then comes nano flats. Nano flats, that's, I think, something that was invented in Hong Kong. I don't think we're particularly proud of being the inventor of the nano flats. But apparently flats up to a point became so small that we had to add the word nano in front. Otherwise, it would have been misleading to sell a flat in that manner. And so nano flats are essentially very, very small flats. I don't think there's an official definition of what that number is. But essentially, in recent years, developers have been launching many new developments with square footages of between 300 to 400 square feet. Small in comparison in historical terms. But increasingly, we've seen flats as small as just over 100 square feet being sold, up to 200, 250. So with an average household size of 3 persons per household, one can see how we get to this 70 square feet per capita. And just for context, the minimum legal size of a prison cell in Hong Kong is 80 square feet. So that gives you a bit of context of how small of a living space we're dealing with. Finally, we have the subdivided flats. Around 300,000 people in Hong Kong live in subdivided flats. That's around 4 or 5% of the population. And these are pushing the kind of 50 square feet mark, which is the size of a ping pong table. And so it's precisely the issues we've seen here that has given me and my co-founder a spark to start this company, Boxful. We were founded in 2015. We're Asia's leading consumer door-to-door storage provider, also known as valet storage in our industry lingo, because we move everything for our customers to and from their home or their office. We're currently operating in Hong Kong, Taipei, Shenzhen, and recently in Korea, in Seoul, and with plans to expand into more cities. We completed our Series B fundraising last year, and we will be deploying a lot of those proceeds into further expansion into the existing cities we're operating in and also new cities. So just a little bit about how this works. It's very simple, 1, 2, 3 steps. Firstly, we come to your home. Our teams with our own movers would pick up items from your office or your home. If you need packing materials or boxes, we would drop those off beforehand. Number 2, we store it in our climate-controlled facilities. And number 3, everything is inventorized. So if you need them back, all you need to do is just to tap a few buttons on your phone, and the items are back with you the very next day. And so you can think of it as like the way Amazon disrupted brick and mortar is an analogy of how we're trying to disrupt the self-storage industry here in Hong Kong and in the rest of Asia. Except here in Hong Kong, we call it mini storage because even self-storage facilities here are much smaller than the counterparts in the US. But essentially, the model is the same. We move the transactions online, thereby saving a lot in rent. We don't have the physical stores. And instead, we move a lot of our facilities further out of the city. And as such, we save a lot of rent. And we pass a lot of those rent partially to the customers, but also partially to invest in our distribution network to provide that convenience for our customers. So we have different types of products. We can store by the item, which is more like an a la carte model. You know, we have a lot of users who store a couple of boxes up to, say, 10 or 15 boxes. We also help customers store by square feet. So if you'd like to store all the items in your home because you're renovating or you're moving somewhere else, we can do that for you as well. We're also recently moved into corporate storage solutions as well. And so one of the features that our users really like is the fact that you can inventorize everything. Our app gives our users the ability to do that. And it's very convenient. You can think of it as having your storage right in your pocket. And so the analogy we'd always use to describe what we do is it's kind of like the physical version of Dropbox. Instead of storing your documents in the cloud, you store the items in your home remotely in our facilities with us. Our warehouses and facilities are extremely modular. You can think of it as Lego bricks, and they're all stackable. And so it's extremely scalable. We believe in providing the best service, and so we invest in our own logistics team. We don't outsource, we don't use contractors, we do everything ourselves. To help us manage this cost of our logistics team, we invest in technology, and this is a very important part of our business. We have our own proprietary logistics algorithm that allows us to do that, and it's something that we continue to improve and modify every single day. Finally, just to wrap up, I think wanted to show a chart of the self-storage penetration across various cities in the world, various countries in the world. Most notably in the US, it's the most mature market. It's actually a $40 billion market in the US alone. Now, the penetration rates there are much higher than the rest of the world, mainly because it's just been around for longer. It's been around since the 60s. where else in most of the other parts of Asia, it's been around for around 10 to 15, perhaps 20 years. And so when you look at this chart, I think we feel very excited about the potential of this market, especially when you look at the penetration rates in places like Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, and Taiwan, where it's a fraction of that in the US. And when you think about the space available in Asia in general, I think we're very excited to see where the developments in the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you.